Hi everyone, good evening. Okay, so for now, I think I'm talking to myself. There's nobody logged in yet, nobody viewing the entire this video as yet. I hope everyone's doing good during the circuit breaker. Everybody's at home, staying safe, not going out too much, not breaking the rules, not getting fined. And those who are overseas, and if you are overseas, please just drop me a text, tell me where you're from. I would love to know where you're from, and I would like to give you a shout out if you're from anywhere other than Singapore. Singaporeans, maybe I will give you a shout out in a short while. But to some of my overseas friends, overseas clients, overseas potential clients, I would love to hear and know if you are tuning in to this particular live video. And let's just wait for a while. I think a few people are just going to log in. Okay, so I have an interesting topic to speak about with a lot of you today. The topic for today that we're going to touch on would be pandemic-proof investment, pandemic-proof investing, or whatever, how you want to call it. The reason being, why am I touching on this topic is because most of the time people have the perception that during pandemic, okay, there's two schools of thoughts here. During pandemic, everybody run, just hold on to cash. Okay, let's survive until whatever, or during recession, during depression, just hold on to cash. Okay, that's usually the hello Rain. That's usually the sentiment, right? A lot of investors have, or a lot of people Main Street have, is to hold on to cash, run, and secure everything to a job, and so on and so forth. But the other school of thought is, and this is usually the ones who tends to benefit and monetize the most, is those who actually they look at a recession, look at the depression, look at the pandemic as an opportunity to buy. And lately, with the advent of the internet, with more financial education, with a lot more people understanding how investment works, they're able to read easier now. A lot of us tend to wait until a depression, wait until recession before they enter an investment. So here I am, okay, trying to figure out between two schools of thoughts and figuring out, hey, exactly now, and this is unique, right? This particular pandemic is a unique case. In this pandemic, exactly how do we approach making money? And at the same time, not looking like someone who's capitalizing on someone else's misfortune. Okay, so this is where I want to speak a bit today and touch on. Hi guys, hello Fan and Veronique. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my screen. There you are. All right. Okay, now I can control this a bit. Okay, so the title of today is Pandemic-Proof Investing. Amidst the economic insanity, I use the word insanity, if you know exactly what people are doing, right? In what especially the Federal Reserve in the US is doing, okay, it's an insane amount of craziness that's happening in America. In the financial markets in the US, with the Federal Reserve buying all kind of stuff. Amidst all this economic insanity, what kind of investment types can survive a global pandemic? And because we are in a pandemic now, I would love to speak a bit about pandemic-proof investments, and which is the topic for today. Okay, so here, before we proceed, if any of you would love to receive more goodies from us and to also have access to the slides, if you like to have the slides, please join us in this particular link in our group if you have not already done so. So there will be the group is the ticker tape is actually at the bottom of the screen. You will see the ticker tape to the to the URL for the group in Facebook, whereby we're building a community to help you survive and thrive. You know, the word thrive here is being overused right during this pandemic. Survive and thrive during this global pandemic, COVID-19. Okay, so this is the link for you to join us. Make sure you follow the caps. All right, thrive is all in caps. Okay, let's continue. So let's touch a bit about the bad news first. Okay, the COVID-19 so far. What has happened lately today? And unfortunately, I'm not so sure if this number is accurate. It might have been updated, but Singapore reported an additional 942 new cases today on 18 April, and vast majority linked to the foreign worker dorms. Now, I have to say this a little and touch on this topic, because somehow I feel a bit like, okay, most of these foreign workers, they came all the way to Singapore, leaving their families behind, and they work in a job that broke their backs, that Singaporeans shun, and they work in very poor conditions, live in very poor conditions, and the dormitories area, it's not so exactly the place where a regular Singaporean would want to go and stay there even for a night. I think even an army boy has a better bunk than the foreign worker dorm. So what I feel is that we have the burden to actually take care of these people that came all the way over here to work, so that we can claim ourselves to be a first world nation. And we can claim ourselves to have the cleanest city in the world, but at the expense of hiring people from these countries like Bangladesh, India, to come into Singapore and clean up our streets and build our buildings. So we have to give them gratitude. I hope that Singaporeans do not go ahead and start saying racist comments on Facebook and saying that we should send them back as fast as possible. These people are dirty. I really loathe. I don't like to see all this. Is something that I just had to say and use my platform now to give to express my dissatisfaction when I see my fellow Singaporeans doing this to foreign workers who came here to keep our country clean and build our country. So I hope Singaporeans, if you are with me, please do not add and perpetuate to this particular condition. They need our help more so than ever. Frontliners, our government, the people, we have the burden of our burden is to make sure that they are well taken care of. So that's all I want to say for that. Okay. All right. So a total of almost 6,000 cases in Singapore and 11 deaths so far. And officially now, we have more cases than our neighbors, Malaysia and Indonesia. Now, this is not a race, guys. The most number of coronavirus wins. So this is not a race, okay? If I were to show you this particular slide, this is from China News Asia infographics, you will see that, hey, Singapore got 5,992, Malaysia 5,305, Indonesia 6,248. Oh, Indonesia got more today. I think they just reported a surge. Okay, but as of now, we have more than a lot of Southeast Asian countries, a lot of countries all around the region. Singapore is one of the highest, right? Okay, so, and that's the link. So if you want to go, let's go to Infographics Channel News Asia. You will see these particular infographics of the world tally of all the COVID-19 cases all around the world. Okay, and China's number is almost all of them recovered. Not bad, right? Okay, okay, all right. So, and other bad news that I have to share is this. Why am I touching about the US? The US has a total of 22 million people under unemployment, an increase of 5.25 million people from the previous week. Okay, if you look at the number of unemployment in America, this is a chart from visualcapitalist.com. The number of unemployed in the US is staggering. Okay, what happens in America affects the rest of the world, especially also affects Singapore. Okay, because Singapore is such a small country, we are subjected to how the rest of the world performs. So now, if you see the historical average is crazy for the last 4 weeks alone, there's 22 million. The number of job loss in America eclipsed, okay, some population of, it was nearing the population of Australia, almost the population of Taiwan, okay? So if you see here, the number of jobless in America is staggering, and this will have a domino effect on other things that's going to happen very soon, which I'm going to touch on a little today, okay, in a short while. All right. And if you're following the news a bit in the US, government-sponsored loans in America, they call it a Paycheck Protection Program. This is meant for small businesses to take a loan or a grant from the federal government, and they have run out of money. It's about $350 billion worth of grants, if I'm not mistaken, that was given to employers, okay? And that has ran out of money. So literally whatever company that can tap on a grant or loan, they will tap on it. It's supposed to be a grant from a loan, okay? So it's forgivable. It's a loan that can be forgiven by the federal government. There's also the case whereby if you're reading online, employers are intentionally laying off workers. Why are they doing so? Because when you lay off somebody, when you lay off a worker, the worker would be able to apply for unemployment benefits. There was already unemployment benefits in the US of a couple of $100 a week in America, but this particular, for the next 3 months during this pandemic, they give $600 additional a week for every unemployment claim all across America additional, okay? So they get more. So in fact, they can get up to $2,400 to $3,000. But looking at the median wage in America, there is hardly enough to cover their loans and their bills. So it will still have a domino effect on the industry and the economy as a whole. Okay, and unemployment rates across the region, I'm talking about Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, is expected to rise. I have some links here that I want to share. Okay, this is the Malaysian youth. I was just reading about it. Now is not exactly the best time for a lot of us to come out of graduation. And I spoke to actually a friend of mine that, hey, I think a lot of youth who's graduating now will be so disillusioned with what the world is giving to them, and they have to keep relying on their parents. So not exactly the best times, right? So I see that this is one more thing. Nearly 3 million borrowers in the US have been granted mortgage relief, meaning those people who lost their job, okay, likely they are also asking for mortgage relief, meaning that they are trying to push the loan repayment back, and they don't want to pay now because they don't have the money. Okay, so unemployment across the region is rising. So you have a lot of all these issues that's going to be going to cause a spiral effect to the economy, the world economy as a whole. And I believe, okay, this is the news about coronavirus bills dry up and not hit bottom. Asia Pacific, we are facing almost a $2 trillion loss from COVID-19 lockdown. And this is crazy. $2 trillion worth of value across Asia Pac is going to be wiped out. And already right now, people are saying we have not hit the bottom. Okay, we have not hit the bottom. So there's even further drop that can happen all across Asia Pac. So how then, okay, do we expect to find opportunities when everything looks so sour, everything looks so gloom and doom? Okay, and in Singapore, people are already saying the lockdown is expected to be extended beyond May 8th, if I'm not mistaken, or it will be probably extending all the way to June or beyond. Okay, so we are expecting this to happen to control the cases of COVID-19 from spiraling out of control, and is expected to cause further losses to businesses, to governments, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the part, and more businesses will go bankrupt, literally. Okay, so people ask, are there still opportunities during the pandemic? The answer is an absolute yes. Oops. Okay, it's yes. There's a lot of opportunities still possible. And I'm going to be touching a little on what kind of potential industry is still possible for people to capitalize and make some money from. Okay, this, I have to say this is not an advice for you to invest. Please consult your investment advisor. Please consult your tax advisor. Please consult your legal advisor if you choose to invest in anything that I'm presenting today. And I'm not intending to give you any investment advice. This is just for educational and sharing purpose, informational purpose. That's it. That's for the lawyers, okay? So I'm just going to say this and say that first. So some pandemic-proof industries, I've been doing a lot of research over the last few weeks. And the first pandemic-proof industry is definitely pharmaceutical and healthcare. In a pandemic, people rush to find a cure. People rush to use masks. People rush to use hand soap or whatsoever, okay? Pharmaceuticals and healthcare will be one of the first few that you can go. Procter and Gamble, Johnson & Johnson could be one, but there's a lot of pharmaceutical industry companies, big companies in America that's doing very well during a pandemic. Okay, there could be value in those companies that you can possibly buy the stocks too. Okay, at the same time, some people are becoming enterprising, so they instead decided to buy in bulk. All right, in bulk. They buy, they load up on the face mask, the surgical mask, as well as the hand sanitizer, right? So this being loaded up in bulk and being sold online by some enterprising people. So not too bad. So at least they're going out to learn how to make money during this particular pandemic. So that's a great idea for them. The other one is consumer goods, food. Now, ask yourself, what's the one thing that everybody stock up when they're at home? What do you stock up other than mask, surgical masks, and sanitizers, right? You will stock up on food. You'll buy a lot of rice. You'll buy probably vegetables, canned foods, instant noodle, Maggi mee, right? A lot of Singaporeans like to buy Maggi mee. You stock up all these food and load up at home and definitely the one making money is the company itself, right? So they definitely are the staple companies would be the main thing that you should look at into buying Nestle, and Maggi Mee or whatever. You can buy all that. Okay. The other one, teleconferencing companies. Okay, teleconferencing companies like what? Citrix, Google, Tech, Zoom. What else? Cisco. These are teleconferencing companies that are doing very well. Zoom was doing very well. They were making a lot of gains in the stock market, but because of some security issues, their stock market takes a beating. But other than that, the fundamentals of the company is still strong. Okay, so Zoom was one area that people rushed to buying the stock, and some people make a lot of money from Zoom. In fact, online entertainment. Okay, I want to share with you this particular screen. This guy from Singapore. Okay, the founder of Razer. All right, he's founder of Razer. He built a game business that made a lot of money during this particular crisis. Why? Because people have to stay. His name is Tan. I forgot his name. Okay, and he's the founder of CEO of global gaming giant Razer. So he created games, and then people all around the world, when you're locked indoors, you're looking to either watch a movie at home or play games all 24/7. So that's the time when this industry is making the most money. Okay. The other thing is probably Netflix. Okay, Netflix is also a potential stock that you can look at because, or Disney, Netflix, they are making a lot of money, especially Netflix, because they're just one-dimensional company. They are only making money through their main source of revenue comes from subscribers, right, to their movie content. So when Netflix, the people are just locked indoors, they're spending a lot of time watching TVs and movies and so on and so forth. Okay. Majority of people are doing that because they can't find any work to do. They watch movie or they play games. And the other thing that I just discovered, and I'm not so sure whether I should record it here. It could be controversial. Some of you might be able to guess what I'm trying to say. Is, oh my god, okay, online pornography. Okay, all right. They're also making a lot of money, right? Because people are locked indoors. So maybe an idea, but don't try to be creative around these guys. I'm just sharing information, okay? All right, please don't take my advice to go and invest in something that I don't know how to invest in. That I have no idea how to invest in that kind of industry. All right, so that's also one area of business that people are making money from. Yeah, it is. Okay, gold. All right, now gold is one area that is a little. Some people, they swear by gold. Some people stay away from gold. I'm someone who believes in gold, but not too much. My biggest problem with gold is that gold is not able to give me income. It doesn't cash flow. It is a hedge against inflation. But for me, if the whole world is coming to an end, this is from the words of Grant Cardone himself. If the whole world is coming to an end, all right, if everything's coming to an end, zombie apocalypse and whatsoever, right, okay, happening, gold is not going to help you. You see, gold is not going to help you. You give gold to the zombie, they probably don't want to eat you up, right? So that's not going to help you. Gold will do nothing in a major apocalypse, which is kind of true. Okay, but I do believe in an inflationary. If the world is still running, okay, that gold can still hedge against inflation because inflation kind of like gold kind of grows in tandem with inflation or even more. Furthermore, okay, so you're poised to be able to ensure that the value of your money doesn't dry up during inflation because gold tends to go up in price at the same time. Okay, my only issue, as I said, is that gold doesn't give you income, doesn't cash flow. And lately, on April 13, gold went to a 7-year peak. Okay, so obviously people are buying gold. All right, people are buying gold, so there's an opportunity for you to make from buying gold. And the US has the world's largest gold reserve. Is America. They have the world's largest. So there's a lot of gold, but there's not enough gold for everyone around the world. So that's my other issue. So gold is a useful tool for you to invest in if you want to hedge against inflation. If you want to protect yourself against inflation, gold would be the one for you to buy into. And US Treasury bills is definitely something that a lot of big companies, I have no idea how to buy this, honestly, because this is usually bought by big, large corporations and big banks. They usually buy US Treasury bills. And this is a loan that you give to the US government and the amount that they will pay you back is backed by the full faith of the US government. Okay, US Treasury bill. Singapore, they call it Singapore savings bond or something, government savings bond, equivalent at the same time. US Treasury bill is from the US government. So this is how the US government usually raise money to fund the running of the country, is through this particular US Treasury bill. So is this also a safe haven for those of you who wants to ensure that your money doesn't deplete in value or whatever? So US Treasury bill. And last but not least, which is my favorite topic, is shelter, real estate. Real estate is definitely one of the major industry that a lot of economists and investors are looking at right now in America. It's something they're monitoring very, very closely. Now, this is my opinion, okay, and mine and my learn. In the next coming few months, or even to the end of the year, expect a deflationary event. What is deflationary event? Deflation, meaning the value of your asset, in America in particular here, but probably the rest of the world, the value of asset will drop in value. Now, a deflationary event will freak out an investor more than an inflationary event. Okay, investors love inflation because why? The value of the asset goes up with inflation. That's why they love inflation. Okay, but in a deflationary event, all right, the problem is the value of whatever they bought goes down, and that's not what they like. They don't like deflationary event. So it is that will hurt, especially speculators in real estate. Okay, so this is where I like to explain. For me, I never speculate. I always buy with value. I would buy something distressed. Okay, and expecting a deflationary event over the next few months is because why am I expecting that? It is because when people come out of the crisis of this pandemic, when people lose their jobs at this point in time, it will take time to recover. Sellers, okay, people who want to sell property, they will find it's difficult to sell. When it's difficult to sell, prices will drop. You follow? When price drop, the entire industry drop. People are they're scavenging for whoever potential buyer they can sell to. All right, price will drop. When price drop, it will cost a point in time. Okay, whereby buyers now can choose, and then it will force the federal government to come in, prop up the entire industry again, and then the price will go back up. Okay, it will pump more money into the economy, it will stimulate the economy, force the banks to loan money to people, lower down the interest rate to I don't know how much more further they can lower down, give people free money, just buy the property. Something along the line will happen. Okay, this the first 2 trillion stimulus measure was just the first round. They are talking about the second and third round already in Congress, and they're already working through the weekend to plan for the next round of stimulus measure for the economy itself. Okay, so that's the thing that you will anticipate. So real estate will expect to have the price to be in deflation, but by price you can probably command as a buyer, you can probably buy this property at cheap, in fact. So these are just some of my strategies I'm using for real estate. I will shift this year, myself, my investors, towards more cash flowing property. So every property that I buy, I want to ensure it is cash flowing. Okay, and we are not targeting the high end market. No, that's not our major segment of potential buyers or tenants. I will look at the regular white collar or blue collar, high blue collar, above average, around the average price, average income. Okay, so these are the people we want to look for. The shift of Americans, especially why I'm talking about US real estate because that's my specialty. There's going to be a shift of Americans moving away from high density living towards more the suburbs. That's something that is going to happen. I believe that will happen. And when people move away from high density living, they want to find houses that's affordable. Okay, they lost their job. Banks are tightening their lending criteria. Right? Banks are tightening very, very heavily their lending criteria. So when banks tighten their lending criteria, these people will not be able to qualify for a bank loan. They will not be able to qualify for a down payment. So what do? They will rent. Do you follow? They will have to rent, and let them rent from us. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let them rent from us when they need a home to stay. Let's not be, for me and my investors, I told them, don't be vultures. Don't try to capitalize on someone's misery. Okay? Be a landlord with a heart and rent out the house, give them what they need so that they can have shelter to stay for themselves and their family. Okay, so that's one thing I want to do. And I will buy highly distressed properties from foreclosures and from motivated seller. In the next few videos, I'm not sure when, I will explain how I find these properties in foreclosure and how I find these property seller. You can buy them over the internet. From right at your house, you can buy these properties. Okay, so, and this is something that I found out. Another area is homes completion has dropped by 6.1%, meaning builders are abandoning the project, okay, halfway or whatever, and then this is the time for us to go in and buy the project at cost or even lesser than cost, okay? Abandoned projects. And I'm also monitoring areas and industries. This is where I'm discovering, looking at how Americans usually are. Americans and the government itself, they're always throwing out this word called national security, okay? National security, need to protect themselves, protect their interest, blah, 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 right, okay? And that is causing the senators, the congressmen, the president, whoever is going to take power, right, office, right? And they are talking about forcing the industry to be no longer dependent on overseas manufacturing and production. This is something that's going to happen very, very heavily in the US. So when that happens, industries in the US that was literally quiet at some point will be reborn. Okay, they will be reborn. And they'll be reborn with a lot of money coming in from the government to force American companies, big American companies, to shift their production back on US soil so that they do not have to rely again on overseas supply, like example from China, which was what the problem was a problem that the Trump faced recently, and he tried to steal all the intercept some of the deliveries sent to Singapore, sent to other countries, right? So he tried to do that. Okay, that wouldn't be a problem if the US government forced the industry to produce locally in America, so that they can rely on themselves in a pandemic, okay, in the next pandemic whatsoever, that they don't have to rely on China to deliver them. They don't want to be held to ransom. That's the point, okay? So medical supplies and medical equipment companies like 3M, Medtronic, GE Healthcare, these are three companies I am going to monitor personally to look at them and potentially look at buying the stocks to these companies. And I would love to capitalize on that as well, especially coming out of a recession, because knowing how the government will work, they will have higher stockpiles. The US as a country, Singapore as a country, we, as every one of us, we will always come out of a crisis stronger, okay? And they will learn from the past lessons. And I believe for a fact that in the US, the Americans will come out of this particular crisis a lot stronger than they had before. They fumbled in the response recently and previously. So the initial phase of coronavirus, COVID-19, they fumbled, but later on they're picking it up, and you will see the numbers in America, okay, of tests that they are administering tests by the millions, okay, that we are not able to do. And I read the amount of tests that they're giving out to people is crazy, okay. And for us in Singapore, we're not getting as much tests compared to Americans, but comparing why it is so, we are seeing so much bad news coming out of the US, it is because they're doing so many tests and they're just being transparent about it. And anything that happens in America would be perpetuated all around the world and amplified in the news. So people think that, hey, the US is going to crazy, the US is going to hell, everything's becoming bad in America. But I don't believe that to be the case. And I speak to people on the ground, they are quite okay, all right? And they are responding very professionally, and they are taking it very seriously now. And granted, they fumbled initially, but now actually they're doing better, in fact, okay? And I know I'm long on US property, definitely for me. And I know that there's definitely a chance for me to make a lot of money from US real estate. And this is something that I want to share. So before I end, I would love to have any question. If anyone want to ask a question, if there's anybody who has a question to pose here. Anyone? All right. No? Or too fast? Okay, so let me just continue. And this is one of my next, my target personally for Nova Sky and myself is by 2021, we want to buy our first apartment complex in the US. Minimum size for the apartment complex, about 32 units. a 32-unit apartment complex that I'm targeting for the company to own, so that we will have our apartment complex that's giving us cash flow every month. And if anyone here is interested to know how we buy apartment complex, how you can also join us to buy an apartment complex in the US that gives you a lot of income, that gives you passive income, you can definitely reach out to any of my team members. We'll be more than happy to share with you how this is done. Okay, I have a couple of investors that's working with us, and we're doing this together. And this is something, a big project that I'm looking for, a minimum 32 unit. And hopefully by the time we are able to hold on to it for 5-7 years, it will have at least doubled in value by then. That's something that I would love to do. Okay, so yeah, the apartment complex in the US, about almost 12 trillion, so no, not 12 trillion, sorry, 12 million. Okay, that's the apartment complex value. For rental, that's right, apartment for rental purpose. I'm not so sure. I see Facebook user. Can I know who that is? I'm not sure. Somebody. Yes, definitely for rental. I want to own it for rental income. That's the idea of the apartment complex. So I've been looking and browsing through a couple of apartment complex, and that's something that I want to propose to some of my investors, and we will see whether this is a good time. I am foreseeing that the market will probably be in deflationary downturn for the next few months. That's potential. So, hi, Mr. Kama. And we want to be able to capitalize when the apartment complex is in distress. That's when we go in and buy. That's the best time to buy, because some of them was going to fall behind with the bank loans. Okay, and when that happens, that's when we go in and strike. Okay, or we take over the apartment complex from the owner that is owning it halfway and then wants to give up and get out of the whole thing. So that's something that we can do. Okay. Hi, Kamal. All right, so this is just some of the plans that I have for my investors. I have one last question for you. This one. Is cash considered a safe investment during a pandemic? This is the last thing I want to discuss a little today. Is cash considered a safe investment? Everyone is talking about keeping cash, correct? Cash. Let me ask you, what happens when hyperinflation happens? What happens when inflation hits so hard and fast? What happens then? That's when hopefully you buy in time, so that to ensure that your value goes up in tandem with inflation. That's the only concern about cash. Cash is liquid, and that's why people like to hold on to cash. Okay, people like to sell something during a crisis, hold on to cash, so that when it drop and then go in and buy again. That's usually the practice, and a lot of people are doing that right now. People are holding on to cash, hoarding cash to buy properties in down the road, in 6 months later, 9 months later. Okay. Well, in fact, if you are sharp, you can potentially find something even during a crisis. Okay. So this is something for you to consider. Cash is definitely king. Okay. But when it loses value, when inflation beats it, when inflation hits and goes up, skyrockets so fast, your cash lose value. That's not what you want to do, especially when your cash, Ray Dalio, cash is trash, which is true. Cash is trash. I think Uncle Grant will say the same thing, right? He said cash is just that is crap. He just said it must always be cash flow. The term that I like to use, if cash is king, then cash flow is his mother. All right, that's my term. That's my tagline. If cash is king, cash flow is his mother. Okay, so you want cash flowing assets, guys. Cash flowing asset. That's what you want, not just cash. Well, you can keep on to cash now. Definitely hold on to cash, but make sure you don't lose value, especially in an inflationary event. You kill yourself. Okay, you will beat yourself up when you realize the dollar that you're having loses value. Okay, that's not what you want. All right. So that's something I want to just cover during a pandemic. Some people consider cash as a safe investment during pandemic, which is possibly true. Okay. All right, so that's all I have for this evening. I've gone on a bit about for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Usually I try to stick this live call to about just about half an hour, and I would love to reach out to a few more of you that possibly want to engage with us and talk about potential investments in during this pandemic, during COVID-19, and ways that you can make money, ways you can secure yourself. So I would love to reach out and speak to anybody who's interested in this. Okay, so other than that, I want to say good night and have a good night, everyone. Stay safe during this lockdown, during this circuit breaker. Stay at home. Don't go out unnecessarily. Don't overeat. Make sure you exercise and look after your tummy. Yeah, you have to use a mask at home, right? So that you prevent yourself from eating. So that's what you don't want to do. Okay, so make sure you control your diet. Don't overeat. Okay, so other than that, thank you, and I hope you stay safe and stay strong during this pandemic. Good night, guys. Bye bye.